Well, guys, the news has been slow again for Street Fighter 6, but there's always time for some discussion videos. So today we're going to talk about Kimberly. So just recently, Capcom released the VS Screen game faces and intro for Kimberly and Jury. So we get to see a little bit more of Kimberly's personality. You can see on the character selection screen, she's standing there in the Bushin stance, and she's like dancing to her tunes. I don't even think she's even paying attention to anything around her. Even when she's walking and like Jury's eyeing her down, you can look. She looks like she's just dancing to the tunes.
Yeah, she just seems happy to be there,
Yeah,
just really excited, kind of like this upbeat personality is coming through as we were discussing it the other day. She's flipping all around, just vibing.
yeah. I'm really curious on how they're gonna explain her meeting Guy and inviting herself as a student. If she just barges in, or if like Guy says no, but she just ignores him, right, and
Yeah,
just learns
yeah,
anyways.
that's what I imagine as well. It's probably something like, "Oh, I've already graduated college because I'm so smart. I wanna just become a ninja." It's like, "Oh, but you need to be this and that." It's like, "I don't care. Just sign me up."
Have you seen the memes, Mir? A lot of people are making fun of poor Kimberly's forehead. They're putting tic
Oh,
tac toe games
indeed.
on her and stuff. What's up with that?
My father always told me that having, a clear forehead is a sign of looking smart, so that's probably what it is.
I don't understand what the big deal is. I think Kimberly looks great, okay? And on top of that, do we want all of our characters looking exactly the same? Do we want all of our female characters to look like DOA characters? All their faces. I don't know. I think
No, no, I
people
think
like everyone just there's not much to talk about right now, so everyone's just kind of over looking at everything, you know?
yeah, but I agree with you. I think she looks great. Honestly, she has some very distinct, facial features. I think the fact that she has this kind of like more round face, the big eyes and the forehead. I don't know. It's just so iconically her now, right?
Hmm.
At least it's something unique to her. Obviously, the hair is very characteristic as well. The little ribbon on the head. I don't know. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
And the little hints of that really bright cyan blue that she has going on the earbuds or the top of the or not the top but the end of the braids. I think that also is an interesting extra touch, kind of like reminding us of the fact that she is also a street artist with all the paint cans and all that.
Hmm. Yeah. That's why I think that, like, because the producer Shuhei Matsumoto, he's like really into hip hop culture. They've been really hammering that down. And it seems like Kimberly was one of the first characters that they worked on for Street Fighter 6. Like they wanted to have a character that just embodies this whole like urban style hip hop culture, and I think Kimberly was like built from the ground up to represent that as much as possible. It
Hmm.
seems pretty
Yeah,
obvious.
I definitely can see that. Like we were saying, the whole graffiti thing, the hip hop music, the fact that it's also 80s hip hop music, not even modern.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty interesting, especially when associated with a character that's supposed to be young and new, right? So
Yeah.
it's both the old and the new fused together.
Hmm. And when you look at the leak list too of all the characters, and we just saw Kimberly's artwork in the first place, it's still really exciting to see all these new characters and learn more about them and seeing how they turn out. Even though they've been spoiled, I think it's been working pretty well for Capcom in general. I think it's been
Yeah,
nothing but
yeah,
positivity.
yeah, absolutely. Just looking at the leak list is not enough, right? We could have never guessed all of Kimberly's personality traits and the way she moves and she animates in game just by looking at that one single picture of the artwork, right?
Yeah.
So there's still a lot to unveil, especially on the newcomers. Maybe
Hmm.
on the returning characters, I can see how that might be more of a spoiler. But if the character is new, it's gonna be difficult to really guess what they're about. There's still plenty that we look at and we don't know what they're about.
Yeah. Yeah. But I guess we're jumping ahead a little bit, Mir. So let's go over the official story that we have so far for Kimberly. That's on the
Hmm.
website. So it says that she's an uninvited student to Guy, who is the 39th successor to Bushin Ryu. So we still need a lot of details on that. I really want to know what their relationship is. If Guy's really proud of her, is he annoyed by her? He's trying to get rid of her. I really want to know like and how strong the student she is because she is pretty gifted. It says Kimberly, she had an ordinary upbringing, but she's a genuine prodigy who graduated from college early, like you mentioned before, and now she just wants to be a ninja because I guess school is just too easy. and she
Yeah.
loves 80s pop culture. That's
Right.
actually a mouthful too, and they even mentioned in the blog too, Mir, that she's also like a really good athlete. I forgot she's like in track and field, and I forgot what else.
Mm. I guess something worth mentioning, it's a clarification. The website is a little bit ambiguous and it makes it sound like Kimberly is the 39th successor, but that's Guy.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah.
just to clarify. So she would be the 40th if she's ever accepted by
She
Guy
would have to
officially.
defeat Guy. Oh man, I
Yeah.
don't know if people would like that. It would really soften the Guy fans. It also says she hates tearjerker movies and she likes 80s music, sneakers, and large numbers. Mirror, of
Yeah, that's
course.
an interesting one. Just another sign of being big brain, I guess, just
Hmm.
liking large numbers.
Yeah, like I said, I feel like people are really liking Kimberly already more than Luke, just because she's a lot different and not as generic. I guess
Mhm.
I would say.
Yeah, I could see that. I think, if anything, her personality, or not her personality, but all the traits that they've shown so far, she's almost overloaded with quirkiness, right? She's just got so many going on. The fact that she's a genius and a ninja, loves pop culture, the street paint, not street paint, I'm sorry, street artist side of her,
Hmm.
and all of this stuff. I think she's just full of interesting, unique things about her compared to, maybe someone like Luke, like you mentioned, that is just more plain. It's
Yeah, like
probably
they
almost
really
a whiplash.
yeah, they really worked on a lot. We know so much about her. I mean, I'm sure with Luke, like we'll know a lot more about him when the world tour finally starts, because he's kind of Luke's more of like a fish out of water kind of story for the audience, maybe, so that if you're not into Street Fighter, he's gonna try to introduce you to all the history of it in the world
Mhm.
tour. But Kimberly, Kimberly could have just as well been a main character as Street Fighter 6, I think.
Hmm.
At the
I
same
was I
time.
was thinking about this, and the fact that Luke is maybe a little bit more generic reminds me of Ryu as well, in the sense that when you have a main character that is a little bit less defined, it's easier for people to relate to said character because, like, there's just less going on.
Yeah.
So they won't find stuff necessarily that is clashing with their personality as much as someone that is, like, more developed, like maybe Kimberly.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's the decision that they had. But still, she could be a very important supporting character, especially since they showed her so early.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the fact that she's really intelligent, she could be, say, in the world tour mode, one of the characters that teaches you all kinds of crazy moves, right? That you
Mm-hmm.
go to her and she's gonna give you some crazy side quest that you have to do. And
Oh man, for some reason it makes me think of Laura. I just hate those characters that are like really dumb, but everything goes their way, like they're lucky, or they're
yeah.
unaware of everything around them, but they always just deal with it anyways. Laura is one of those
Mhm.
characters. I hate those characters. Drives me
Yeah, this seems
crazy.
quite the opposite, if
Yeah, she
anything.
seems like the opposite, exactly. One last thing we should mention about her story, Mir, is that they said that she listens to a specific artist on our cassette
Oh,
tape,
right.
and they didn't
Yeah.
say they were not ready to talk about. I forgot the exact words, but looking at the leak list, it's very obvious that they're talking about DJ.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's pretty fitting that DJ would be known for his musical career. Not
Mm-hmm.
only the name, but obviously the style and what we see from the leak list. I think it fits perfectly. It makes a lot of sense that he would be a celebrity. Now the
The,
only question is the kind of music he does. I guess it would be hip hop, right? Just because that's what Kimberly likes.
yeah, and it's gonna have to be some type. It's gonna have to like have a retro vibe to it, right? I'm assuming.
Hmm.
They
Yeah, I guess so.
just straight up take his DJ theme from like Street Fighter 2 and remix it and put
Gonna
it in
hit you
there.
with a record over the head.
Yeah, so she's probably a huge fan of DJ, so I'm wondering how that fits into. I like that though. She's already tying in with a couple of characters in the Street Fighter universe, so
Mhm.
which I think is really good. Okay,
Yeah, absolutely.
let's talk about her gameplay now, Mir. There's a lot to talk
Mm.
about. We did a breakdown of all of her moves, and once again, looking back, she is definitely a more of a hybrid of Guy and I would say Ibuki, but definitely more Guy than anything. We got the command run, the target combos, and our special moves, which is basically Bushin Ryu. That's all very clear. And with the Ibuki side, the ninja side, we have vanishing dashes with like a spray paint twist, and the stock system, And she even when she like starts the match, Mir, she literally says Bushin Ryu on the scene, which is obviously like
Right.
a
Yeah,
Ibuki
that's a very
callback.
iconic Ibuki line. Ibuki on the scene.
Yeah, do you think like they're just doing that just to give like a nod to Ibuki fans, or do you think maybe she was influenced a little bit or knows Ibuki in some way? Like,
It's difficult to say because on one end, it's very easy to assume that this character is just going to be the replacement for both Guy and Ibuki.
mm-hmm,
But considering the scope of Street Fighter 6 being this kind of like huge game that they're trying to come up with, I feel like these characters at least would show up somewhere, right? They wouldn't be complete replacements, and there's no telling what's gonna happen down the line. Maybe it's gonna be kind of like a Gil situation in Street Fighter 5, where he eventually showed up, and it could be the same for these two characters in Street Fighter 6.
mm-hmm,
Maybe they're not gonna show up immediately. Maybe
mm-hmm.
that's what this is telling us. They're
Yeah.
not gonna be the first wave of DLC, say, but maybe down the line, a couple of years from now.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about some of her core moves and stuff. Let's I
Mhm.
guess we'll start with her command run, right? That's like her foundation. You know,
Yeah.
I know some people in the YouTube comments were discussing the functions of all her different follow-ups. And I saw one post talking about how maybe they were anticipating the universal mechanics such as parry and drive impact, how they'll deal with her run. And her arc step, that's one where she runs up to you and kicks them twice, like walks on like a staircase.
Yeah.
Might be a way to like help counter these kind of universal mechanics. What do you
Mhm.
think? How do you think it's gonna go in Street Fighter Six, the command run?
Well, the fact that she has multiple follow-ups is definitely something that has to do with the multiple system mechanics that are in Street Fighter 6, right? Obviously, the fact that she doesn't just have two follow-ups and the stop is already very important because you want to have a possibility to alter the timing of the attacks, to screw with the parry, for example,
Yeah.
or have something, maybe that arc step that we were talking about, if it is kind of like, if it acts like a grab, maybe that's what would be able to deal with the parry, for example.
Mm-hmm.
The possibilities are definitely, well, I wouldn't say endless, but there's a lot of them. Just we know so little because we only have the trailer to go off of.
Yeah, they're
But I
really
think,
layered. Just
yeah.
a lot of people pointed out too, Mir, just like the fact that she can do the classic run stop is enough to bait drive impact and parry in the first place. But on
Hmm.
top of that, it's quite good because this is going to be, like I said, her foundation, and the recovery of her stop looks quite slow, like really slow.
Right, and it reminds me a lot of Zaku in Street Fighter 5, where the normal run just isn't very fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's not nothing like Street Fighter 4 Guy, where you could loop it, keep going with the pressure, get plus frames. I
Yeah.
don't think they want that to come back.
Mm-hmm.
But we were mentioning even in the other video, maybe with the OD version, just spending some meter on it that will help you get some plus frames, maybe catch the opponent off guard.
Mm-hmm.
If it's anything like Street Fighter 5 Zaku, that could be very well a possibility.
Yeah. I think looking back at Street Fighter Five, we got a lot of type of command runs in Street Fighter Five, and a lot of just kind of running in general. We can see Rishi just manually running, and we could see, of course, Yanzeku, and then there's Lucia, and there's like Ken's V skill, and
Hmm.
they all kind of work a little differently. Like Lucia, for example, she can literally run cancel, and then shoulder your throw. Like she can delay it and shoulder it, and her EX version of her command run can be safe, right? I'm assuming Kimberly would be the same thing, where she can use that to bait. And Yanzeku, it's the same thing. Like his because of his back throw is so nuts, right? The EX counts on the back throw, or the
Yeah.
slide is quite fast. But I don't think Yanzeku's run commands were as exciting as like Guy, right? Or even Maki. I feel like Kimberly's command run in this game is more, for Guy players. Like there's a lot more there than
Hmm.
the other characters.
Right. That's for sure. There's just many more options, and on top of that, she also has other guy moves, right? Like the elbow drops and such, so that
Mm-hmm.
will all come together to create an experience that's probably much more similar to Guy from Street Fighter 4 and Alpha, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
obviously Zeku was kind of like split in half, if you will, because of the stances, and a lot of people didn't quite enjoy that nearly as much. They just wanted to play young Zeku.
Mm-hmm. I I know, like when Street Fighter 6 first comes out, all the Kimberly players are gonna find which command move is the most abusable, and they're just going to go full screen from you, wait for you to walk up to them, and they're going to do a running move at you. And between that and the hop mirror, they're going to play like Aaron Black, pretty much. You know what I mean? Like, just
Interesting comparison.
dude, that's literally how you play them. The overhead low, they're just going to abuse it. I know it, man. And don't
Well,
forget too, Mir, the drive system. She has ODs right at the beginning of the round.
yeah, that's
So
true.
I don't know.
Very true. But then again, so does the other, right? Drive
Hmm.
impact, the run could be very
Hmm.
effective for all we know.
That's true.
One thing that I will say though that I'm glad that we don't seem to need to worry about, at least so far, is that unlike Ibuki, she doesn't seem to have a lot of left right stuff, like dashing through you.
Hmm. Yeah.
But with the cans on the ground, especially with the delayed explosion, I can imagine that there are gonna be situations, especially on wake up, where that could be an issue. The existence of the parry kind of nullifies the left rights, but at the same time, there's always the risk of being thrown. So
Yeah. That's
just
the
the fact that
thing.
by default you don't get a dash that goes through you, though, I think that's nice. I like that.
Yeah, I guess we should talk about the spray paint cans and the whole stock system, but I
Hmm.
really wonder how that's going to work with parry in Street Fighter 6. Like, it's kind of like a shield when you think about it, but the recovery just seems so long enough where, like you said, you get thrown. So I'm sure parry will eliminate some left right mix ups and make the person doing the mix up a little more aware on how to counter these things just to give you some room. But yeah, I'm not sure. It all depends, I guess, on how fast the character recovers during the mix up itself. Because these
Hmm.
spray paint cans, Kimberly's able to literally freely move when she tosses them on the ground. And in case you guys haven't watched our breakdown video, this is how it works. So she has a move that stocks spray paint cans called, I think it's called Genius Head Play. And we don't know what it looks like. We don't know how long it takes to do it. And we don't even know if she starts with spray paint can stocks at the beginning of the round. And then she gets these can stocks, and as far as we know, it only amplifies her super, and she can toss it as a shuriken, not a shuriken. Uh, what is it called? Do you
Mine,
remember?
a
A what?
shuriken bomb, I think, right?
Is it called shuriken bomb? Okay. Yeah, she plants it on the ground like a mine, or it detonates after a certain amount of time. I don't know if how many stocks she can carry total, but that's how we're saying she was like Ibuki because she can carry kunais. And
Hmm.
when you combine this with that vanish dash move, like you said, we don't know if it goes through the opponent. It looks really tricky.
Right. I think the most important part about pairing on wake up these kind of explosions to try and save yourself is that I presume that the Street Fighter 6 parry just works like many other parries in other Street Fighter games, where it doesn't actually make you invulnerable to throws when you parry something. So they can throw you and have you block the explosion or parry the explosion at the same time. And if you block, the throw just doesn't do anything, because well, how Street Fighter throws work. But if you parry instead, you get thrown,
Oh, I
right? So that's
understand what you're saying.
a
Okay.
very possible option select that I could see happening, right? So
Yeah.
that's something that can nullify parry on wake up when dealing with that, unless you can perfect parry it, and maybe if you have an EXDP or something,
Yeah.
you can do stuff about it.
Because even though there's a lot of counters to parry, parries in this game still very powerful now that we know it starts up in one frame. Like that's
Yeah,
strong. And and
yeah,
replenishing your
absolutely.
drive gauge is very strong. So I wonder how that is gonna work. I mean, regardless, it just really amplifies Kimberly's game, throwing those cans on the ground. Like I said, I'm surprised they didn't show it in the trailer. They showed her
Hmm.
crazy rushdown, but on top of that, with the air command grab and the jump grabs and stuff, like it's gonna be very hard to defend against her when she gets set up. Like she's gonna have a lot of set play for sure. This character ain't playing neutral. you know,
Yeah, for
there's
sure.
no way it ain't happening.
I was gonna say, Guy, even though he had powerful rushdown, he wasn't necessarily the kind of character that had strong set play. He
Hmm.
could do some tricky things on your wake up, for example, with the elbow drop, making it very difficult to do anything about it, just getting plus frames for free, that sort of thing, and
Hmm.
being in your face.
Hmm.
But he didn't really have set play in any other way, as far as I remember, at least. Well, instead, this is what we get from Ibuki, right? Ibuki does have set play,
Hmm.
especially with the V triggers in Street Fighter Five. Obviously, those are uh, particularly useful for that. So maybe they wanted to include some of that set play into the guy formula,
Yeah.
just to give Kimberly players something uh, to do in case you get, say, a hard knockdown, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or well, I guess it's a Street Fighter 6 hard knockdown in the sense that they get knocked back, right? And maybe they're forced to deal with the cans, and that could be really strong, especially because it doesn't seem like you can just parry out of it, like you were saying. So
Mm-hmm.
if you even drive impact, you can neutral jump it, right? If you think that they're gonna do it on their wake up, that sort of thing. It could lead to a lot of very layered offense and defense. I mean, there's a lot of options on both sides, it
Mm-hmm.
seems.
I think a lot of Ibuki's play was just to jump up EX kunais, to
Yeah.
get in and start her pressure, and then for Kimberly, it looks like just the spray paint cans and setting up to help her get in as well to cover her tracks and start her mix up as well. With Young Zeku, they did try to add some mix up set play with him when they gave him that V skill too. But it was a pretty tough V skill to understand. You'd have to like look up a lot of guides for it because it takes so
Right.
long for the animals to come in and do stuff. I know it's like a Strider reference, but they
Yeah.
did try to add kind of that set play for him if he wanted to.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So another important thing I wanted to talk about more in our breakdown video, Mir, is the fact that Kimberly caused a wall splat on a regular special move. And that really tripped me out because so far, as far as I know, only drive impact causes that wall splat effect. So what's up with
Mhm.
that? Like,
Right. That is interesting because, like you said, no one else does it, so it's probably going to be a mechanic that only some characters are gonna have. I don't think it's gonna be just specifically Kimberly. That seems already too extreme, especially if the
yeah,
roster
no
is as big
way.
as it is.
No way. We have to see the
And
interactions of the punish counter for every character because I'm seeing Luke do standing heavy kick and the character just flies up in the air. Like there's all
right.
these weird interactions. We don't know what happens when they hit the wall.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true. I'm sure that some of the characters that were already shown, now that they are maybe on a more advanced build, that they're working on, maybe they implemented some of these new ideas that we're seeing into their kit, and so when we're gonna see them again, maybe those are gonna be something new to discover again. Right?
But the fact that Kimberly can wall splat you through a combo, I mean, that makes burnout even more dangerous because that means if she landing a drive impact on you, obviously it's not impossible to do, but the opponent's going to be very aware of it during burnout because that's the
Hmm.
checkmate, right? But if
Yeah.
Kimberly lands a hit on you and she can set up a combo where she wall splats you automatically, that's an instant stun mirror. Like we're talking like potential touch of death kind of setups here. If you get hit because of the stun, it's a guaranteed stun. I'm assuming if you wall
Well,
splat them in burnout.
basically, you're saying you can combo into the drive impact because of the wall splat, and that
No,
would
no,
lead
no.
them
I
to be
mean that
stunned?
when the opponent's in burnout, if Kimberly lands a hit on them, if she has a move that can cause a wall splat, she can stun them.
Well, assuming that that's how it works, is not specifically a unique property of drive impact.
But
The
that's
only
that's what
drive
we mean.
impact.
That's what I mean, right? Because drive the unique effect of drive impact is that it causes a wall splat if you hit them while they're up in the air, or if they push them into the corner. It causes that wall splat effect, the same effect that we see with Kimberly. So that's why I'm
Right.
assuming it's going to cause stun and
Well,
burnout.
I guess my point was that it's a specific feature of drive impact. I
Hmm.
don't think it necessarily means that because this is the same effect, it would also stun you. I'd be surprised if that's the case. But if it is, I mean, I at least you found the correlation. It does seem really really strong to have just on a normal move, especially when it's that fast, right? We've
Hmm.
seen it in the trailer being quite quick.
Hmm.
So I think it's just a coincidence that the effect looks the same, but I don't believe that it's gonna have the stun. I think we can rest assured on that.
We'll see, Mir.
Well,
Mark
we'll
down
see.
your
Yeah, I
calendars
mean,
when we see
I'm
footage.
casting my prediction.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to be very closely paying attention to it because it does seem, yeah, nuts. We know Kimberly has like a jump, hop, grab. I wonder if she gets a punish counter with it. Will we get the zoomed in? Because we still haven't seen like an actual command grab on punish counter. I want to know if those get amplified like normal throws do. I really am curious about that.
Right, because Jamie's command throw doesn't do any damage. So
Yeah.
even then, even if we had seen a punish counter, it really wouldn't matter as far as the damage is concerned. So
Hmm.
it's difficult to say so far. Yeah, that's true.
Even Kimberly's jumping command grab, You know, the Izuna drop. Like if the opponent was doing something, I don't know, like a Dalsum float, right, or some
Mhm.
type of air move that they were in recovery, and she grabbed them. Would that get amplified somehow? I mean, it's gonna do more damage regardless of being because it's a punish counter, but I wonder if you get a bonus for it.
Well, I would assume that, at least you would get the hard knockdown, right? Just like
Mm-hmm.
the normal throw.
Yeah.
I think that's, guaranteed. The damage, I guess it depends on a case by case basis because I cannot imagine something like Zangief SPDs you on a punish counter, you lose half your health.
Yeah.
That seems a little bit extreme.
It does seem really extreme. That's why I'm curious about it. I'm gonna say it doesn't though. I feel like it's specifically normal throws that like they want you to start throwing again. Like
Right.
they because it counters so many things. Like it counters parry, it counters drive impact, right?
Mhm.
And you know it will technically counter a drive reversal too. So it counters a lot. Like they want you to throw again, but at the same time they also made it so it's not as crazy where you can back rise it now unless it's a punish counter. So they
Yeah.
really thought about the throw shimmy game this time around
Yeah.
for Street Fighter 6. They learned a lot from 5, that meta, that taking the throw meta.
Mhm. And command throws are, in a way, if you think about it, a reward by themselves in the sense that you use them to defeat blocking because obviously you cannot tech them, right? And
Mhm.
in Street Fighter 6, they have the extra benefit of defeating a bunch of mechanics that are vulnerable to throws as well. So I doubt that it would get too many bonuses from
Mhm.
landing a punish counter. If anything, the hard knockdown, I think that's fairly reasonable to assume.
Mhm. Yeah. Wonder, another thing too about like Maki that's a little different is she can run backwards. Can she run
Mm.
backwards? Command run backwards and forward. I wonder if Kimberly has anything like that too, or that'd be too
No,
much as
they
well.
didn't show us,
No, they didn't
so
show
it's
it.
difficult to guess. I wanna say no, though. That seems too much neutral skipping, even though this character already
Well,
seems to
she
be that
jumps
kind of
off of
character.
people already, and I guess you can maneuver her in the air too. When we saw after that jumping kick too,
Right,
command
yeah,
home.
backflip or the front flip.
Mm-hmm. Do you think all the guy fans, the guy players out there will be satisfied with Kimberly?
It depends, I think, on how the rushdown is structured, because one of the things that made Guy unique was the run cancel pressure, and that doesn't seem to be there as far as we can tell, at least, on a surface level based on the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
So if Kimberly has something that can replace that, the kind of like sticking power that Guy had, maybe. Obviously, a lot of people play characters not really because of the function. A lot of people play them because of looks and such. So
Yes.
already the fact that it looks much more like Bushinryu, that could be, already something that people are going to enjoy a lot. But um, like I said, as far as the function is concerned, maybe it's the sticking power that really made Guy unique. And if Kimberly has that, then I think it'll satisfy the Guy players.
I mean I've talked to some people that said that they're huge guy fans, but they weren't a fan of Zeku because even though he did have some of the Bushin Ryu moves, the big core part of his gameplay was the stance switching, or transferring
Right.
into young Zeku, old Zeku, which was awesome design. But a lot of people just wanted to play young Zeku because they
Yeah.
wanted that style of character, which obviously you can't execute well. You have to use both, right, to fully
Hmm.
capitalize on the character. So Kimberly being more, this is Kimberly, and she has all her moves, and they're not restricted by a stance. I think will please a lot more players that are wanting to play Guy.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's true as well.
What about Ibuki? The Ibuki players, will they be satisfied?
Well, this character definitely seems to have powerful rushdown
Mm-hmm.
again. So that I'm sure will help a lot of Ibuki players as well. But again, Ibuki seems to be more a set play based character, I want to say, like powerful rushdown, but then it's the tricky left rights and
Yeah.
doing something on the opponent's wake up,
Mm-hmm.
hiding in the smoke of the bomb, mixing up the opponent like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know if Kimberly's gonna have that. Obviously, she has the Shuriken bomb, and that's kind of like reminiscent of Ibuki, like we were saying before. Maybe like the Caltrops in
Mm-hmm.
Street Fighter Five,
Exactly.
and it's possible that that might be enough. Of course, you'd have to enjoy the rest of the character. You'd have to get used to the command run and all the follow ups, and obviously the Bushinryu style.
That's right.
But it's very possible. I mean, going by function alone, she definitely seems to have more than both of those other characters could offer, just because Street Fighter 6 seems to be so full of special moves and stuff to do,
Hmm.
right? Like there's just so many mechanics as well.
Like it's really hard once again when you introduce a brand new character, especially in Street Fighter. I think it's particularly hard because there's so much foundation built for Street Fighter. There's so many characters that always return to every game, and they're always like the core. So much nostalgia behind it. So to basically have your favorite character that you play in like every Street Fighter not return, and then because Ibuki ever since. She's been in like every single Street Fighter game afterwards, man. She was in 4 Cross Tekken, 5.
Hmm.
Like a lot
Yeah.
out of all the Street Fighter 3 characters, she's one of the most popular, you know and now this time around she's not there, so people aren't really gonna know until they give Kimberly a try, but she
Hmm.
is definitely more Guy than Ibuki. But what do you think about Guy and Ibuki still being in the game? Do you think that's a possibility? A lot of people asking that question.
Yeah, we were talking about it before. I feel like this character for now is a placeholder for both, in the sense that I doubt that both Guy and Ibuki will show up to Street Fighter 6 soon.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you want to differentiate the functions inside the game a little bit more before adding these characters, right? You
Yeah.
don't want really repeats early on,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think it will exclude them for coming back at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they go and fine tune, or not fine tune, just change how their functions work a little bit, right? Like Ibuki doesn't have to be exactly the same. Obviously, Street Fighter 5 Ibuki is different from Street Fighter 4 Ibuki.
That's right.
So Street Fighter 6 Ibuki could be even more different, right?
True.
Especially if they maybe bring back the original style of how she used to be. So like getting rid of the kunais of the work in Street Fighter 5, and just going back to the original design, that could be already difference enough, right?
Yeah, focus on the
And the
spin
visuals
kicks,
as well.
the Samuji or whatever it's called. I forgot what it's called. The
Yeah,
spin kicks.
the kicks, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Tsumuji.
Yeah. I another thing too, I have to remind you guys, like in Street Fighter 5, I remember when we saw Alex on the New York stage. We're like, oh, Alex is on the game. He's a background NPC, you know? And then, or when we had the Halloween costume for Yuri, remember the Guild costume? And
Yeah.
we're like, oh, there's no way Guild's gonna be in the game now because he's got him as a costume. But, these characters still eventually came to the game. So, no character is guaranteed to not be in the game. But looking off the leak list, we have an idea of who the launch is going to be. And like you said, it makes sense that we won't see Guy and Ibuki for a bit, just to give some breathing room for Kimberly. I'm sure we will probably see Guy and Ibuki like in the game, but not playable as NPCs in the
Mhm.
World Tour. I think at the very least we can at least see them, give a little hint of what they're like.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that we did see some characters in Street Fighter 5 that didn't make it to the game. Like Abel is in the story mode, but
Mm-hmm.
he's just there.
Yeah, it's just there.
So, there's no guarantee, right? It always depends on what is going on behind the scenes. If the developers think that, these characters are going to be great additions to the game based on the current meta, or, just want what they want to release because they think it's cool,
Yeah,
then they're going to show up. So, obviously, if they see that there's a lot of fans for those archetypes and those designs, I think we're going to see them back. And like you said, both Guy and Ibuki seem to have a following that just popular.
yeah,
So
yeah, for
I'm
sure.
sure that they are perfectly aware.
Yeah, I mean, if any game, we know Street Fighter 6 is going to be a huge game. I'm sure the DLC is going to be massive. So if
Oh
there's
yeah.
any game where there's a high chance of them it's going to be Street Fighter 6, I'm sure the
Mhm.
DLCs will be quite large. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. But at least I like I said, Kimberly's design looks really well thought out. Her story, how she looks, how she plays, it's really clever. It really fits Street Fighter 6 theme. And overall, I'm just really happy of how the character turned out, just from looking at the picture of her before and all the artwork, and now actually seeing the gameplay of her. I can't wait to see an actual match and answer some of our questions for her.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Just looking at their footage, just so much going on. It's difficult to see how everything fits together just
Yeah.
by looking at the trailer.
Hmm.
Having a match, like you were saying, is it's the key. It's what we need to understand really how she plays. Actually does play the game.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, guys, that's our discussion for Kimberly. I'd like to know your guys' thoughts on Kimberly so far. If you guys are really interested in playing her and her gameplay and how you think she'll be in Street Fighter 6, and if you guys are willing to wait for Guy and Ibuki. Me and Mira will be back for more discussion videos. We'll be talking about Jury next, and we'll keep you guys posted on everything that is Street Fighter 6. So until
You
then,
don't want
guys,
to miss that one.
yeah, take care, everyone.
Bye bye.